What's up? I am SS Multiverse, and today we're talking about Zamasu's new form that has been revealed to us in the preview for episode 66. Now, if you have yet to see the preview for episode 66, you should watch it ASAP. It is one of the most awesome previews Dragon Ball Super has offered to date. It is so incredibly exciting. The first thing that happens is Vegito is confirmed. It just shows him right off the bat. Now, if you've been keeping up with my channel, that shouldn't be a surprise for you because I made a video a long time ago saying that Vegito was confirmed. But then right after it shows him, he goes Super Saiyan Blue right off the bat. You know, maybe there's some fight in between, but it seems like he goes Super Saiyan Blue relatively quickly. But then something really strange is shown in this preview. It shows the merged Zamasu. For the sake of this video, I'm going to call him Zamasu because that's what he calls himself. It shows him with a half purple face, and then he has one arm that's normal, and the rest of his body is normal, but his other arm's this gigantic, goopy purple arm. It is so bizarre. And then it just shows him fighting Vegito with this new strange form or physical transformation that kind of resembles Bio Broly. A lot of the fans of Dragon Ball Super say that's the closest thing it looks like, and I would have to agree that this kind of reminds me of the green goo of Bio Broly. Now, it's very liquidy, you know, it's not like just a giant purple arm. It's very goopy, and you can see his face, it's very melty. And honestly, this is just bizarre. Like, I didn't even see this coming, and I'm a theory channel, and yet I still had no idea this was gonna happen. Now, before I go on a rambly rant for too long, the reason I'm gonna make this video is because I want to go into how strong is this form going to be, what new techniques or abilities does this new form offer, and how did this transformation come to be? Like, why did this happen, and how did this happen? So in terms of physical strength, the preview showed Vegito going at it with this Zamasu with the purple arm and face, and Vegito seemed like he definitely had the upper hand by a pretty decent amount. So I'm going to go out there and make a prediction and say that this new form for Zamasu, it does not make him much stronger. Or if it does, it's very minor. Like, it might make him a little bit stronger, but not to the point where it will affect the fight at all. However, I do think this form offers Zamasu a new slew of techniques. And we saw this in the preview where one of his eyes lit up and it just created this giant like ray of light and energy where even Super Saiyan Blue Vegito had to get out of the way of how strong it is. I mean, and also just based off his physical appearance, it seems like this is going to give him even more defensive capabilities, even more regeneration powers, because purple goop is most likely going to be able to easily reform off his body, which is kind of strange because given that he has immortality, you would think that wouldn't really be an advantage. What it really might give Zamasu is the ability to manipulate his body. So what I really mean by that is maybe it's able to grow really big as we saw in the preview, or also maybe it can melt off his arm and try to like wrap around Vegito and just, you know, handicap him in some way or entangle him, or maybe he can even use it as a shield. But my point being that the difference in immortality in this purple arm that's made of goop is that anything made of goop can be used to do practically anything your mind can come up with, whereas immortality, you just can't die. Like, you could just regenerate. So I think this is going to give him basically any technique this guy desires that has to do with body manipulation. Now, how did this transformation happen? Which is probably the biggest question that has to do with this form. Like, how did this come to be? Because I've been making theory videos for a long time, and I remember I made a couple way back where it was talking about, like, gods having transformations. Like, you know, like the Supreme Kais or the gods of destruction. And I remember, like, I want to say a good 90% of people who left comments on the video saying that, you know, that's such a dumb idea and there's no way any of the gods have transformations. And here we have this bizarre twist in which Zamasu, which is our apprentice Supreme Kai, having a transformation, which is just, it's weird. Like, it came out of nowhere. But the question is, how did this come to be? And I have a couple theories on how I think this transformation happened. Now, let me start by saying that this is a combination of Goku Black and Zamasu. Now, Goku has transformations, but nothing like this. He has his Super Saiyan transformations, which are transformations. Some people say they're power-ups, but they are considered transformations. But that's not necessarily morphing your body or changing it in the way that this new form that Zamasu has with the giant purple goopy arm is like. It's completely different than anything Goku has. So I'm thinking this new form has more to do with Zamasu's side of the fusion, or the fact that they create an entirely new being into existence. Now, I said I had two theories of how this transformation came to be. The better of the two theories I have is that this is a complete wear down of Zamasu's immortality. Now, what I mean by that is perhaps Vegito is so incredibly powerful that he's able to actually wear down the immortality in Zamasu, but only to some degree. So, like, maybe he's destroying parts of Zamasu and his body can reform perfectly at first, but maybe after a while, it's turning into deformed flesh or deformed parts of Zamasu that look like this purple goop, because he's being destroyed so much by Vegito. You know, maybe it's because Vegito's just brute power, or maybe it's also because Goku Black was not immortal. And then when he fused with an immortal being, maybe it only makes a semi-immortal being in which your immortality can eventually run out, such as when Vegito fought Super Buu. And Super Buu was originally called immortal, but they later changed it to he did have limitations. And the first limitations he really showed was during that fight, where he was reforming and he was reforming incompletely, and he was getting more and more tired after every time. So maybe this new form is a limitation on Zamasu's immortality, in which his body slowly deteriorating and becoming this purple goop monster per se, because it cannot reform to its original body because it's being destroyed so much, or because he's only semi-mortal to begin with. And I know you guys are gonna say that it was stated that he was immortal, as Zamasu said it. For this to be true, I'm assuming that he did not know that he was only semi-mortal. He only thought he was immortal, or that Vegito's is so strong that it doesn't even matter. Now, I know you guys are gonna say this is GT, so it doesn't count, but remember they said that Super Saiyan 4 was so incredibly powerful, it defied the dragon's wish that made Goku a child, which is why he has an adult body. So could something like that be coming into play with this merged Zamasu? I'm gonna go with most likely no, but it's at least worth a mention. Now, the second theory I have involving how this form came to be, and it can tie in with the last theory, it doesn't have to be completely separate. Could it have something to do with Goku's Black's rage? And what I mean by that is, remember that scene where he told Vegeta, I know how you became this powerful, it's because of rage, and I despise mortals, and mortals have transgressed against the gods, making me the most angry being of all. And then he makes this giant Sith and just cuts a hole through dimensions. He literally just pulls this technique out of his butt cheeks and just uses it out of nowhere. And he says it's because he's angry. Could this have something to do with this new transformation that Zamasu has, this new physical form? Because we have Zamasu's body, and then we have Goku Black's, you know, ability to pull new techniques out of his mind, you know, or come up with these new techniques. And maybe when they merge together, those two things combine, Zamasu's immortal body, or just his body in general, and this ability to feed off his rage. You know, could that have something to do with Zamasu's new form? Is it just another one of Goku's Black's random techniques, you know, he came up with, which is to surround himself with this purple goop? I feel it's a possibility. Now, is this the final form of merged Zamasu? Because we have the build up for this to be like the final fight of the series, you know, because we all knew that Zamasu was going to fuse with Goku Black, or that was building up with that, with all the Patara earring scenes, all the scenes where it shows Goku Black with the Patara. Even the first ad for the Sega had featured Goku Black wearing a Patara earring, and then they finally merged together. And then we saw in the preview that Super Saiyan Blue Vegito's coming. So is this going to be the final form of Zamasu? And I think the answer is yes. Now, could he change his body a little bit more? Yes, I could see him having two purple arms, or maybe his whole face becomes purple, and maybe he fully becomes this goop monster. But I think this is the last form of Zamasu that we're going to see. I don't think they're going to pull out any more surprises other than this. I think this is the biggest surprise that they're going to have. Maybe they'll have some type of surprise at the end of the Sega that has to do with how they're going to defeat him, but I definitely think this is the final form of Zamasu. However, I think he could have two purple giant arms, or his whole body could become this purple goop. The final reason I say that this is the final form of Zamasu is because we have a new Sega coming up in December. It's supposed to be announced. So I figured that they're only going to have a handful of episodes left for the Trunks arc. So I feel like this is going to be the final fight. And so just for sake of time, I say that this is going to be the final form of Zamasu. Now, what I think of this form, like just in my personal opinion, is I absolutely love this form. And I want to give a round of applause for Toei Animation or whoever came up with this form, because nobody saw this coming. And I love when they do things that like nobody sees coming. And I also like how this is kind of like a throwback to Vegito versus Super Buu, where we had Buu that was made of like goop that he could reform, and he had all these random abilities and we never saw coming. And, you know, like Candy Beam, Absorption, and then versus Vegito, how he was spawning these new techniques as he went, like where he tried to destroy everything using the Earth's energy warping around him and stuff like that. I feel like that's kind of like a throwback. And now we have Vegito coming back and fighting another enemy who has this level of endurance and possibly even more if he is immortal, and has this array of techniques and bizarre forms, I guess, even now, to help make the fight entertaining and long lasting. And this is just going to be absolutely awesome, and I just love the new look of this form. I think it's really interesting. I just hope they actually provide explanation for this, that it just doesn't come out of nowhere, because that would be kind of weird if they didn't really explain, like, you know, how this came to be, because then that could really happen to any character. But all in all, I think it's a fitting mix of surprise for the final fight of the Sega. But anyways, guys, I hope you're as hyped as I am for the final fight of the Sega. Super Saiyan Blue Vegito versus Merge Zamasu with this bizarre form and all these new techniques. And maybe Vegito will even have a bunch of new techniques. This is going to be the most awesome fight. I think they're going to bring in the very, very best animators for this fight. I think it's going to be awesome. And I think it's going to be hands down one of the best fights of Super to date. If you call yourself a Dragon Ball fan, be there to watch this. I think this is going to be absolutely epic. Like, there's going to be no words to describe this fight. It's going to be awesome. And literally, if only I had a time ring myself so I could go into the future to watch this episode right now. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Zamasu's new form. How strong do you think it makes it? How powerful do you think this new form makes Zamasu? What new techniques do you think it gives them? And what sparked this transformation? Where did it come from? Or how did it happen? And also, let me know what you think of the final fight of the Sega. Are you as hyped as I am for this fight? And can you possibly wait for it? Let me know in the comments. I'll read them like always. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.